there's a metal plate along there, you'd have to put a specially made plate, had to be riveted or soldered in there, and to be waterproof, of course. And when you start adding up all the extra material and all the extra labor involved in doing that, you might as well just go ahead and replace it just the way it is now. It's going to be a whole lot simpler overall, because we already have those dimensions. We also have another situation. There's steel beams inside this plane. And in order to, I would love to be able to get it off the street where it doesn't overhang on the street. However, we got these steel beams to deal with in there. We start having to cut these steel beams and or shorten them, you know, and cutting or welding on them. We're talking about real money then, and time. And this has been going on for quite a while. So basically, I would say that this is the time, not only from necessity, like I just said, but from a financial standpoint, it's the time to fix this and fix it right, so that we're in good shape for another, you know, what's there right now, people think, well, it's something new. No, it's been there 50 years almost. So it has its own historical situation almost, time period. So my recommendation is to fix it and fix it right, and we have right now, MK is back in business, thank goodness. So we're in a situation where he's checking with his roof guy right now, because we're going to start, that was where the problem started, was the roof, and that's what we got to get working on first, and then we'll just work our way down, replacing bad wood and redoing there. He's also checking into the situation with the facades where the lights are all in. That is pretty remarkable fiberglass plastic. God knows what it's made out of, but it's pretty tough stuff to have lasted 50 years and not have any more UV damage than what it has. But however, the little things where you hook the letters on there to see the coming attractions and stuff, those are in pretty bad shape. Those haven't survived as well as the rest of the facades have where the lights are. So, does anybody have any other questions? I'm going to just say I've already, like I said, probably talked you to death on this. I apologize for that, but this has been an extensive situation.
Yeah, one sec.
Sure.
Let me get some information before y'all start. So the cost, walk us through the cost again. You did in the first piece, but if you can walk us through.
Okay. We're talking at grand total about 13 grand to do everything, put it back like it is now, in good shape. Good roof, good correct. Big thing is we're going to actually correct the drainage situation with this new roof. And one of the ideas is either, if we can drain it off the sides, you know, like you have a traditional roof, it's going to be difficult with those facades on there. So what we're going to do, proposing, is to put a couple of 4-inch drains in each front corner that go all the way through. And actually, since it hangs over the street anyway, the water would drain out these two 4-inch drains right into the street, rather than on the sidewalk in front of the theater. So it sort of works out a little bit.
You would be able to exit without being drenched.
Yes, actually true, yes.
Yes. Okay. So 13,000, and that takes it back to its 1970s state. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's been basically, yeah, since around, I've heard all kind of dates about when it was
Right.
built.
Yeah. Me too.
But sometime in the
somewhere
70s,
in yeah. Does this include replacing the channels? I know the channels on the west side are broken. We were able to use the channels on the east side during ghostly tours, but does this include replacing those channels?
Those have already been done on a separate proposal. You mean the ducts, the vertical ducts?
No, the channels, the letter channels. The letter channels.
Oh, yes, he's investigating that right now. We may end up with, he's investigating a person that knows about this sort of thing. I don't, I'll admit. But it's some type of, obviously, some kind of synthetic plastic of some sort. Like I said, if it's anything like, they did do one thing right. This material they used for those facades, with all that, was top-notch stuff. Had to be for the state of the art for that time period anyway.
Yeah, I think that was done in 1997.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, no,
so the piece that's actually on there right now was done in 1997. Before that, it said like just Fort Clark in big blue letters. But
No,
there was a
okay.
group, Charlene, were you involved in raising money for that in '97?
No, I
No,
wasn't here.
No. So I think in '97,
Yeah, I was
both the
here, but
sign
I wasn't
in the front, so it has similar lettering.
Right.
Both of those were done by volunteer groups in like 1997.
Ah.
But
okay.
just the plastic.
Right,
piece.
right,
So,
okay. Well, if we could just save and reuse just the facades, that would be great. I think especially on the east side where we've had naturally, the hailstorm situation, on the west side, pardon me. Those little things that hold the lettering on that side, which I don't know if they hardly ever use that side, but anyway, a lot of those are broken off, from the hailstorm thing. But the bulbs, we would definitely have a better situation with the lighting, well, the wiring naturally, and the sockets and the bulbs. We're gonna make a personal donation of the bulbs, and what we're looking at is like 2-watt Edison type bulbs, that, these bulbs now, they look like the old Edison bulbs. Well, anyway, they make a 2-watt bulb for this type of thing. It's shatterproof and waterproof. In addition to so we're looking at a much better, somewhat, I'm not saying they're gonna resist a real hailstorm, but we're gonna order 300 bulbs, 280 for the deal and 20 extra for spares as we lose some, maybe during the hailstorm or something.
So this 13,000 does not include the 280?
Not the bulbs, it does
No.
include, I'm
Okay.
gonna
Right,
furnish the
okay.
bulbs.
Thank you. Preservation is responsible for which buildings? And I'm asking for the education of the.
Sure.
Because I sent you an email where I was out of line and you
That's
quickly
all right.
corrected.
Well, I still can't get over that, well, the 6 buildings that we're responsible for, old historic buildings, are Dickman Hall down here, you make a big circle. Dickman Hall, Service Club, our,
Seminole Hall.
Seminole Hall, I'm sorry. Seminole Hall, the Guardhouse Museum, the
Museum, Palisado.
yeah, and the
And Post
Palisado, yes, and in the theater. So that's the 6 that we're actually responsible for tax purposes. Now, in reality, we've had to do very little. Russell has an interest in the Palisado, naturally, with the historical folks. And we don't, surprisingly enough, we don't have commissary.
But we've done work for.
But we've done work there
Yeah,
before.
Yeah.
So, when I say the 6, those are mainly the ones we get a tax break on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out how far this 32 is supposed to go. And so I'm just trying to,
That's probably a good question,
Yeah.
because I'm not 100% sure about that myself. I've tried to concentrate on the tax break type things,
Yeah.
but we have probably other responsibilities.
sounds like we need another meeting to go ahead and get that. I'm kidding about that.
No.
But we do need to get together at some point and decide, because I think it's really difficult for y'all to get your hands around a plan, right? To say, these are the things that are wrong, and over the next 5 years, because you're pretty standard as to how you get your money in, right? I mean, it's the same. And so, over time, and we're working on this in every front of the fort, right? Whether it's maintenance or, any other group. But what we, over time, want to get to is, okay, these are the buildings we're responsible for. These are the known problems. These are the dollars, and this is how we're going to get through them. Because, for example, on the theater, this work is going to be great. It's going to look wonderful. We still have the door, on the other side that
Yeah.
is, it just creates a whole other, it's like you do this work and you're risking, the damage to that.
No,
So,
I'm gonna be coming back to you with taking care of all those doors
Okay.
on the rest of the
Yeah.
theater.
Okay.
And when we finish all that, we should be able to walk away from the theater
For a
for
while.
a good long time. But
And-
these are long-term problems. These problems that
didn't
It
come
didn't
up
happen
just-
overnight,
Yeah,
and they've been
absolutely.
here for, 10, 20 years, this has been developing or
Right.
longer, so.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something else, just recently here, a couple of days ago, person on my committee, he and I got together as sort of like a little subcommittee, and we made a visit with all of the 6 buildings that I've just mentioned.
Mhm.
And he took all kinds of little photographic evidence. He was taking the pictures, and I was writing down all the situation. I'm gonna fix that up into a sort of a report to go back to the full committee with. And I'll be glad to include that on a future report.
That would be wonderful. I think that achieves a lot of what I'd like to
And
understand
it's,
about water.
it's actually, I don't wanna tell you that we're not gonna have any other problems, but looking at all these buildings, the rest of the other 5 on the tax break list, it's not as, we're not in that as bad a shape as you would think. I mean, we have some issues, but none of the issues are to the extent that we have on the theater
Okay.
marquee. None of them, I can promise you that.
Good. Do we have a motion? Other questions?
I'm confused about the marquee. I thought there was something about it not being historical. And
So,
this is an old discussion.
yeah, I mean, there was a different facade to it in the beginning. There's pictures of it inside of the theater, there's pictures of it at the museum. This facade was added in the 70s, and when do you pass into the, I mean, it was,
Well,
it
50
went,
years.
yeah, it went through the historical commission as is,
Okay,
which, that's my understanding,
With
right?
the
Yeah,
marquee.
went through.
96 is when that big medallion was put on, the historical medallion, and that's the condition that it was.
Okay.
That's what the situation we had at that time.
all right,
Yeah,
that
how
explains
That's
it.
a consideration. It's not all of it, but it is a consideration.
How it got through,
It explains. Got it.
don't know,
Yeah.
state of Texas. So, do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll
To approve that
second
12,400?
Yes.
I'll second. I'll third
All in favor? Okay, motion passes. Carry on.
Right. Anything else? Any other questions? Anybody else?
But I'm sorry.
I always have questions, otherwise
Sure.
you're not gonna learn. Okay, when David Loftus and the group replaced those bulbs way back when, can you still get those bulbs with that same size to fit in the sockets?
Yeah, they're just large, like the same kind, they're the same, well, the ones we're gonna replace them with, let's put it this way. The ones we're gonna replace them with, because they're all in bad shape too.
Oh, yeah, we all know.
Half of them don't work, I don't think, and then, but they're just standard large base bulbs like you use in your house. There's nothing really exotic about them, other than the fact that the ones we're gonna use are shatterproof and waterproof. They're
Okay,
tougher than average bulb.
so then actually, getting back to that, the ones that don't have any bulbs in there, do you know that the sockets are still gonna be good, or would you have to replace
Yeah,
them?
No,
that's
they're
all
all
the
gonna be
sockets are gonna be replaced.
Completely. They're
And
going,
you're gonna
all
go
these
to-
sockets,
okay.
wiring, sockets and bulbs.
Okay, I have one more question. Then you're gonna go to the wiring, do we have to get a certified electrician to do this?
Yep.
We are.
Oh, let us know where you get them from.
Yeah, right.
We got one on the board here.
Thank you.
Good luck prying that out of my hands.
We have no plumbers, we have no plumbers, but we got an electrician.
Allison has a question. Yeah, I have a question, on the shatterproof bulbs, is there a guarantee that they aren't gonna break in a hailstorm?
No.
Because before you said something about that, I was wondering if there isn't some way that a plexiglass frame could be built around those bulbs to protect them from the hail? Because we lose half the bulbs every time we have a hailstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money. I really don't know. That, this, like I said, at the extensive discussions we've had on this, when that was brought up too, about some
Okay.
sort of shield over them.
Uh-huh.
But, I don't know, we weren't sure what that would look like or how we would put it on exactly. We were wandered off into kind of a never land there that none of us are that familiar with, and neither was MK. So,
Can you find an expert that would know how to do that and get a bid on it?
I've looked at it, haven't found
There
it.
isn't, okay.
Just buy stock in the light company.
we're very,
It's not just that though, because you know, most of the people who replace those bulbs, if it's not maintenance, are up in age and getting up on ladders. I mean, I replace them 2 years ago. Natania's replaced them.
Mhm.
And they've been, you know, where the red and green go at Christmas time, but that's been a couple of years also.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just, you know, buying stock in the bulb company, but it's manpower on replacing
Well,
the
that's true.
bulbs.
Yeah, and we're working towards the system. Mr. Peterson's done a great job of working with his maintenance crew, and the staff of the maintenance group is doing a phenomenal job. You know, we're now staffed up to the point where we're in a little better shape, and they're getting a system down. And being able to work through this system consistently it gets to the point where they will be able to do these types of things that should be done by the fort and the personnel of the fort versus people getting out there on ladders, which please don't mention that again in open session. But thank you for all the efforts that you've done. We've all done a lot of things that we probably shouldn't be aware of, but let's.
I appreciate your questions. I'm not a structural engineer. I'm not even any kind of an engineer. So this has been a learning experience for me too. So
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any way you could put like a, and I'll use the word plexiglass, hood over the lights?
We've looked through some options and nothing's really come up that would make sense.
yeah, no, not that you could guarantee it would be worth the money.
Yeah.
But
No, I understand.
it's
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
protected from hailstorms or
We're good.
Mother Nature.
We're good.
All right,
Thank you.
I had a
All right, we've got the traffic situation. Let's go with that.
All right, question, do you want the entire email read? It's rather long, so I will,
Or paraphrase.
okay. This is from Annabelle, she lives on Colony Row, she has young children, okay? So she's asking for some sort of traffic calming measures or possibly a traffic study to improve the safety and protection of the character of that historical area. She's also offered suggestions, could be speed bumps, swim park exit traffic. You come out of the swim park, you can't go anywhere but down Colony Row. But you don't have to go all the way down Colony Row unless you're stalking someone or going to someone's specific house. You can turn on Patton and go to Fort Clark Road. So that's another option. General signage, you know, just having really good speed limit signs, or we've looked at some speed notification signs that would tell you your speed, which could be used on the rest of the fort too. Additional entrance signage on Colony Row and saying that it's a historic, district. Go slowly. There are kids around, that kind of stuff. Does that cover it all? All right.
I think.
I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, and I think when we get our heads above water here and we're, looking into February, March timeframe, that we should start looking at all the locations on the fort that would make sense. I thought it was very reasonable. I mentioned in the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before that, the person who sells the radar equipment to Kenny County Sheriff's Department actually ran into Mr. Peterson at a conference and then subsequently made a visit out to the fort. They have got a lot of signs that in the last 5 years have come down extreme. I mean, it's mind-blowing as to the number, how it's changed. But I think towards that time frame, going into summer, we can have some sort of plan or ad hoc committee that would look at signage and just all the different things that we could do in the different units. It's not just Colony Road, it's many other places. So any other questions or comments from the board?
It would be needed everywhere.
Yeah.
How about just having law enforcement out here and issuing some stinking tickets to these little cars?
So we have an interlocal agreement with the Sheriff's Department that we have, that Linda has talked with the sheriff about. They're just strapped.
I understand.
Yeah. No, but see, that is something though that, and I've encouraged this from others, and I'm not saying we need to go to the county commissioners meeting and, beat on the desk or anything, but just going and making comments at the county commissioners meeting saying, hey, what can we do? What do you need in order to service the interlocal agreement that the fort has given you to patrol certain areas? I'm in no way faulting, what the sheriff's department can do. I mean, they're stretched as thin as they possibly can be. But we just need to be heard as constituents of the county and just say, we need help. And that, I think that would be the most effective thing that we could do from that standpoint. And we have made those efforts and will continue to make those efforts on a yearly basis.
Well, don't they have, of course, I'm from West Texas, forgive me. But I know out there, they have those signs that issue their speed, and then they'll get their license plate, front or back, send that in, and you get sent a ticket.
Yeah, so that's an interesting scenario, and it becomes like a really odd situation and gets litigated all the time. I do think it would be valuable to look at the speed signs to make people aware of how fast they're going. And that's something that we definitely need to look at, and that's what I'm hoping we can do before next summer. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like for people to realize that there are stop signs. They run through the stop, I have
Amen.
seen security run through the stop signs.
Yes.
Ignore them right in front of me.
Yep.
Go right through the stop signs.
That's right.
Don't even slow down.
No,
I'd like to see people adhere to the rules.
yes.
That's one thing here, that we've got all the right ideas and all the right rules in place if we would just follow them and follow through. We don't need any other ideas or anything. That is the thing that I have found in the entire time I've been on the board. It's like, we don't need any new ideas. They're all here in a box somewhere.
In the file room.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll definitely keep that in mind. I just wanted to get that in front of the public and have people, are there any other public comments about traffic in general? I know we could go on for hours about that, but we'll try not to. Okay, so actually, we don't need to add an additional agenda item because it is an agenda item. So, I think we've already talked this option out. Unfortunately, we'll have to state a motion since we did move on from it. So, if someone wants to take a shot at that.
Travis, I make a motion to start with phase 1 and vote for the 5-ton package that would, the 3-ton package that would fix the bar area. Start with that one and then see where we go from there. Also include, well, maybe a separate one, but include looking at inspecting the fireplace, cleaning it, making sure it's pointed correctly, that there aren't any leaks in it, so that could be used as a heating option during the winter. So going through phase 1 with looking at the fireplace.
Please state the dollar amount.
The dollar amount is $10,500 plus, what do you think the fireplace is gonna cost to look at?
Less than 1,000.
Okay, so add 1,000, let's make it 1,500, so the total would be 12,000.
We'll have to look at all 3 fireplaces. We have 1 in the service club and we have 2 in Dickman.
Okay, so if we did okay, I'm making a motion for $12,000, which would include the first phase, which is the 3-ton in the bar area, and inspecting, cleaning, making sure that the fireplaces are in usable condition.
All of them.
All of them.
Right.
Do we have a second?
I'd like to amend that. I don't know if I can amend that.
No, we can either second, or you can let this motion die, which it already has a second. Now we have to vote on this, and then you can make a new motion
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
So you can make another motion.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion as stated, 3-ton for the original bar area, also getting the 3 fireplaces, including the service club, inspected in phase 1, which would be an amount up to $12,000. Correct?
Yes.
Motion seconded by Linda O'Brien. Julie, got it? Okay.
Before we vote,
Discussion.
yeah, I have no problem with the motion. I'm absolutely none with it. But I'd like to add, couldn't we do another vote on the second phase?
You're welcome to make a motion for the phase 2 after
Okay,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with the first
Okay.
motion, but I had preferred we do 30,000 and get it all done.
Okay. Well, that's
Mr.
fair. You
Peterson is
can-
very confident he can do it all, so I'd like for him to do it ASAP.
That's fair. So, all in favor of phase 1, as stated? Motion passes unanimously. Hold on one second.
Okay.
So we'll go through the rest of the agenda items, and then I'll leave it open to whatever else we need to do, and so, yeah. So the last agenda item listed, which is not the final, but the last one listed on your agenda is the ERC fund allocation. So many moons ago, we came before the membership and at the board meeting and stated that we wanted to enlist the services of the company who provides the employee service benefits to the fort. They came to us and said, you guys qualify for ERC, so the employment retention, it was,
Great.
yeah, employment retention credit, which when you start Googling this is a rabbit hole, and the IRS website there's 15 iterations of it. So I'll give you a brief synopsis. They started out looking at it by quarter. If you were to remain operational in quarter X, Y, and Z, and then they amended the program to add another quarter, and then they amended to add another quarter, and so on. I think at the end, they ended up with 5 quarters, or 7 quarters. So each employee that we retained during that time, there's a dollar amount set that we can recover from the federal government for this time and for keeping them on during COVID. And so I believe that the window is now closed as far, they're not adding any more quarters.
No, it's just a 7.
All right, and so those 7 quarters.
3 in 2020, 4 in 2020.
So we had to provide our ERC, or sorry, our Form 941 documentation to our benefits group, and we agreed to pay them a percentage of any of the funds that we were able to receive back from the federal government. So that, everyone put your seatbelts on. That number is rather large. And this is not, we don't know that we're going to get this number. We do not know, repeat it back to me, we do not know that we're going to get it. So it's approximately, it's almost $700,000. So after fees and everything, it'll be closer to the high, it'll be about $6,000 or $600,000. So this is a great windfall to the fort. It will be great if it comes through. We're not saying we're getting this. These are your documents. That's why I'm telling you what's in them. There, you could request them at any point. What I would like to do is ensure that these funds are used in a capital expense fashion versus operational expense. So what I'm proposing is that we add these funds to the balance sheet with an accounting footnote that these funds are only to be used for capital expenses. And so, I know minds are going, well, what does that mean? What does that do? How does that keep us from using funds? What if we have some sort of big issue that we absolutely just have to use these funds for? It does not prevent us from doing anything that we need to do with these funds. What it does do is requires the board, whatever board that may be at the time, in order to use these funds, they would have to bring it before the membership and talk about it. If they didn't do that, at the annual meeting, you would have your audit is presented to you. Because of the footnote that's been added to the balance sheet, if the money was spent in a form that was not a capital expense, that would be noted on the audit that's presented to the membership. So you would be aware of exactly where that money was spent, and then you can take your recourse however you want as the membership with the board and ask your questions and all that. So what I'm trying to do is provide a mechanism in which you can audit this windfall as it comes into the fort and make sure it's being used for the expenses that it should be used for. So it does not restrict us. If we had to come back to you and say, my goodness, we've got to do this, whatever's happening, we need it, but we have to have a discussion about it. It have to be done in front of you. And that's what I'm trying to put together here. So that's the, yes.
Would that go technically into the reserve?
No, it would not go into the reserve fund. It would just go simply on the balance sheet as a line item, and we would put it on the balance sheet as your ERC funds. And then there'd be an accounting footnote that these funds are only allocated for capital expenses.
Trash truck, tractors.
Capital expenses, I just don't want, we're not paying the light bill with this, is what I'm saying. Like,
Equipment.
Well, I don't know if y'all, I replied to that email, and I didn't get a response. Did you all see it?
I did not.
Okay.
I apologize.
So, no, that's okay. My thought is if it is only for capital expenditures, why not put, in your email, you talked about, his regular operational fund not being funded until '24. So why not fully fund and use the 20% using last year's number to fully fund the operational one, and then put the rest in the restricted fund, so we don't have to worry about it not being spent.
Well, but if you do that, then you don't have the option of then something happens, we don't have access to it. I mean,
Something's always gonna happen, and until this point, we haven't had those funds. And if we're funding the, his operational reserve fund at 20%, that's over
Right.
$100,000.
No, you're correct. And after receiving some accounting counsel, this is the more appropriate way to do it. Because that was my thought too, at first, was the combination of the two and like trying to do that. And then after I spoke some more, like this is the easier and cleaner way. Because then you're splitting funds, you're like, well, wait, where did this go? And so that ERC money that was funded here. So, because what you would do is you'd go back and you'd say that these funds, and then you'd look at the footnote and you'd say, okay, well, that's not the full amount, where is it? And then it would just create, we're achieving the same thing. This is just the cleanest way to do that.
And that's what our accountant.
Not our accountant, I've reached outside to do this.
Okay, I don't know how it's cleaner, but okay.
Do you have any comments or questions from the membership? Yes.
Did I hear you correctly? You're getting federal funds and somebody's getting a piece of that?
So the way that this is, so I've been through several of these programs in conjunction with COVID and all that. And generally, it is the accepted practice that whoever is filing that, because they're using they use their expertise to go through our documents and figure out how we qualify for it. So that is the fee. Yes, that is correct.
Doesn't seem right.
They actually brought it up to us, right?
They did bring it up to us, and I looked into several.
People getting that piece do not qualify for this.
Yes, and it's a yes, that is correct. And they.
Okay, that's enough. I'm confused enough.
You see the ads on TV all the time for this fund now. It's almost one of those that you don't realize what you're listening to, and you start saying, because the first thing they start, even if you got PPP, you still qualify. That ad you're hearing on TV is what we're talking about.
So did the Democrats write that?
I'm not certain.
No idea.
I'm not. So I do know that it's much like the Camp Lejeune situation, where the attorneys are going to take their piece of whatever they collect.
I mean,
So.
they're all getting a share. They're doing the work.
As a small business owner, I received an email saying I could qualify for the ERC.
I did too, and I went through the whole thing. And,
Small business owner.
I went through the whole thing, and we didn't end up qualifying. So.
We honestly didn't think we qualified.
Yeah, that's why we haven't really talked about this, and we were not counting on this, because every way that I looked at it, it didn't make sense.
I can't count on my ears all the time. Other than that, perfect, but
Yeah.
not my ears.
But the person that's working with us is helping us, or helping push this.
Yes, so they're pushing through it, and they have the expertise to put this together.
Is there a reason we need to decide? And I'm not trying to be an obstructionist, but you've just come to us with this, and I would like to hear from our accountant you know, what they think. I mean, we do retain somebody, is that correct?
Correct.
So can we table this until, I mean, because it sounds like it's gonna be in 6 months before we can even fund it. It'll even be funded if we qualify,
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months.
I don't know what we're
Sure.
tabling.
I mean,
Allocation.
I haven't made a
Maybe
motion yet,
allocate.
so there's nothing to table at the moment. I haven't even made the
When
motion
we did
to.
this, we did reach out to the accounting firm, and they did substantiate and said, yeah, this is legit. And they weren't doing it at that time.
I
No, I
think she's
mean,
asking if we can
about
table
the way we
my
allocate it.
So
footnote.
where we put
Yeah,
it
the foot,
in the accounting system.
I'm fine with that. I don't have any issue with
I
that.
would table it until we
Get it
get a
full,
little
yeah.
closer. Also going through with the financial task force, cleaning up the books and
Mhm.
making sure that the funds are in the right places
But we
and
did need to
accounting
let-
numbers are
We did need to
correct.
let everybody know that it's out there.
I mean,
Woohoo!
it's a thing and it's there.
Don't spend it yet.
Yeah, well, I had to sign the 941, so it's my name on there, so we're doing something at some point. So I'm very, I asked 3 times. It took me almost a week to sign it because I was like,
Still have one more thing to sign.
oh, see, I'm not done yet. So, that always scares me. But, so, you had another, she'll be back. But go ahead.
Regarding a motion regarding the second phase, once the first phase on Dickman Hall is done, I recommend that we spend, it's the 14,500 plus the 3,000 that you need for the wall.
For the,
Is that what the 5
I
is?
wrote down up to
5,000.
5,000 on the wall and the French doors and all the work involved.
I don't have a copy
Okay.
of what the split system is.
Was it 5,000?
It's
It's
14,500 plus 5,000.
Plus 5,000. Okay.
Plus 5,000, be 19.
Okay, well, then let me make the
Take your word
motion,
for it.
make the motion to allow Mr. Peterson to put in the second phase after he does the first phase, and that we spend up to 20,000. Unless y'all wanna do 19,500.
Inconsequential.
Up to, is that okay, Mr. Peterson?
Yeah.
Up to $20,000 in case he needs more nails. So that the process, so we get it all done at one time. My biggest concern regarding this matter is, because I hear it here all the time, the air conditioner right now is 14,500. If we wait,
Goes up.
it goes up.
it'll be maybe 16,000. Not my fault, not anybody's fault, just the way it is. So that's my motion.
Could you amend it? Would you amend it?
So you just add a new one.
No, you just do a second.
Just
Okay.
Okay, well, I was gonna ask if you'd amend it to
Yeah.
just say that he start the second phase whenever it is advantageous for him, if he can
Exactly.
buy the units now.
As
Yeah.
soon as I'll say yes, I'm punching the button.
Yeah.
Okay, so just I'll restate your motion. So the motion brought by Mr. Guzman was for phase 2 of the Dickman Hall renovation of the HVAC bid for Dickman Hall. What we will do is allow Mr. Peterson to spend up to $20,000 when he sees fit to start the project as necessary, with materials, time, you know, whatever all the implications that go along with that. Yes?
And we'll get the air conditioner for 14,500?
If that's what the bid was.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Does that include the wall that you talked about?
The 20,000
The
includes.
20,000,
Yeah. Is that correct?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
You second it?
I have a
Who
question.
seconded it?
1 second.
I'll second.
She'll
We have a
second it.
second. Comments, questions?
Is this where you could get a steak on a Friday and maybe a cold cerveza?
After the air conditioning's up.
Good plan,
Codes of basic, yes.
good plan.
We can start with the cold cerveza. Steaks might also be cold, but they can be picked up and cooked at your house.
Let's just put a grill right outside of Dickman,
Yes.
and grill your
Yeah,
house.
there you
Yes.
go, grill your one.
Okay, this might be the shortest meeting we've had in a long time. So, any other comments, questions, concerns that the board needs to bring before the membership or the rest of the board members? No? Okay, thank you. Any comments or, go ahead.
We have to vote.
Oh,
Phase 2.
phase 2, all in favor? Okay, hit the button.
Very good.
Wow, look how efficient we are. Okay, so any announcements or anything from the membership, Mr. Herman?
No, I just wanna go back and the money on this, for DRC,
Yes,
could you use that for the landfill?
Yes.
yes, that would be a capital improvement.
Pay back phase 1 and phase 2, if the money comes in after these projects are done, could you pay yourself back with that money? Because they're capital improvements, are they not?
Absolutely.
There'll be 3, 4,
Yes.
5, 6 after that probably.
Yeah, we'll get,
10 years from now.
yeah, we'll get our recommendations from our accountants, and like I said, the whole idea is to protect the funds and make sure that there's a way that the membership is aware of how they'll be spent.
Okay.
Okay, yes ma'am.
I failed to mention in my report that architecture will not be meeting this Tuesday. We have no permits.
Okay, no permits, so no meeting on Tuesday for the architectural committee. Any other announcements?
Yes, I have an announcement.
Okay,
The Kinney County Arts Council. And the reason why we call it Kinney County, because it does include everybody, but almost all of our members are right here on the fort. And we do a lot of things. We try to make a little bit of money so that we can do things for the kids in the summertime. We do the arts, which includes music and singing and poetry and all kinds, and drawing and everything. So our next venue is December the 11th, and it is a tour of homes, a Christmas tour of the historical homes. So this year, we're right here in the front, and I'm so glad you got trees in. It looks good. And I have tickets today. They are $10 a piece. And if you don't want to get them today, my phone number is on the posters that are around, and you can call me and order them at that time. And another announcement that I have to make is the old quarry is trying to get started again. And their first event that they're going to do is tonight at Dickman Hall. They're having the Jack Clarkson Band playing at Dickman Hall tonight. And we would love for everyone to come and enjoy themselves.
what time does it start?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, doors at 5, music at 6. Great,
What, at 5?
$5, $8.
The door at 5
Oh.
and the music at
It's-
6.
It's $5 is what they're asking for.
Does it cover?
You're welcome to give them 10.
They could use it.
Yes, they could use it. Like I said, they're trying to get started again, so anything that we can do to help them would be great. So, any other announcements? Nope. Any other questions, general questions from the membership before we move into executive session? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Make a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second, all in favor? We'll adjourn to executive session at 11:42. We will come back afterwards and vote, announce anything that we need to vote on and take those votes at that time. If you want to hang around, you're more than welcome to. We reconvene in here. If not, we'll see y'all next time and tonight.
Do you have any idea how long executive session's going to be?
As short as humanly possible, probably. I think we're gonna be a little bit. We can do that.
Good to see you.
That's why I'm here, trying to investigate, trying to learn. I like Joanne.
Oh, hi, that's nice to meet you. We need people to work recycling.
We were talking about that
If
already.
there was a collection here for anybody, for your recycling.